Hey there everyone, Noir here and welcome to another Petscop Fan Theories episode. If you haven't seen my previous episode, I would highly suggest watching that one first because this episode will be dedicated to analysing the newest Petscop video, which is Petscop 11. I will put an annotation link here to the previous Fan Theories video, so feel free to pause this one, check that one out first, and then come back so we're all caught up. Okay, so without any further ado, allow me to put my hat-wielding brain to good use. First things first, there have been some noticeable changes to the Petscop channel as of late, most importantly being the addition of a new video that landed exactly when a few people figured it would, myself included, Christmas Day. For anyone who doesn't know the significance of that, here's a recap. Paul, the player not the avatar, received Petscop as a Christmas present from a person named Rainer in both 1997 and the year 2000. I already have a heavy suspicion that Rainer was the creator of Petscop, which I outlined in my previous Fan Theories episode. This information was given to us by the channel's About section, but anyone who's, just starting to watch Petscop now doesn't really have access to that information because instead it's been changed to the following message instead. Everything we wish to say is below. The purpose of this YouTube channel is to preserve and display the recordings within the video game Petscop while keeping some of the content private. They were first given to us as a Christmas gift many years ago. The game had an interesting journey before and after that day. Paul had created some additional recordings in 2017 as a way to show Petscop gameplay to his friend. He created this account in order to upload those additional recordings in video format. He later passed ownership of the channel to us, but continued to record himself at our strong suggestion. Though he had issues with the arrangement, these have finally been settled. Please enjoy the recordings in Petscop. We do. Smiley face. Oh boy, here we go. Here we get a glimpse of what's going on behind the scenes, which I'll try to put together as something with a little less ambiguity. So to begin with, there appears to be someone else officially running the channel as per the request of Paul, who's now confirmed by this statement to be the player and not the avatar in Petscop. It also isn't much of a stretch to think that these new owners are connected to Paul and the game in some fashion, since they mentioned that they were on the receiving end on some of the recordings in the past, once again as a Christmas gift. Paul also showed great reluctance in carrying on the Petscop gameplay and recording it. The reason for this becomes quite apparent as soon as the newest video begins, which I'll get into shortly. And a few people have speculated that Paul's now being forced to carry on, but I don't really think that's the case. I think it's that Paul was just shaken by the revelations that he discovered in Petscop 9 and Petscop 10. The discoveries in question are the two items that were blanked out, as they mentioned in those previous iterations, such as the gift inside the present in Petscop 9, and the answer that Tool gives in Petscop 10. Both of these items clearly have some significance to Paul personally, especially the present, which is greeted with shock by him. Now then, onto the video itself. So here we are greeted with a familiar landscape, with Paul still searching for somewhere to use the key that he obtained in Petscop 9. He's now following a path that he'd mapped out as he tries to figure out what it is that Petscop is supposed to represent. He talks once again as if he was directing his speech towards one person, mentioning things like, "tied in some way to me through you." He also confirms that the room that he found the key was indeed an interpretation of his bedroom, which is also the place that he found the game originally. Paul then finally reaches the area he wanted to get to and proceeds to move the avatar in a rotating pattern, which brings up a text box. This was part of the design, basically, of what he was trying to do in the first place. He specifically passes on asking a question this time round and moves to a wheel instead, then brings up the text box again, this time asking the whereabouts of the house. Paul then finally happens upon a road, which he seems fairly underwhelmed at, which I feel is because he expected to see a more accurate representation of the immediate area that's surrounding the road leading to the house, as it appears that this whole experience is linked to Paul and Rainer's childhood, and this area is tied to that. Finally, he reads a sign that states, "This is a frozen house, captured 3 times, exactly as it was, then reaches the house. It appears that Raina's trying to make Paul recall his memories within that house so that he can piece together the message that Petscop is trying to convey to him. This becomes more apparent once he enters the house itself. Here we see two separate memories flipping between one another in a room that is the new Maker Plane's version of Randis the Flowers room in Even Care. You can't see that right now, but it's basically proved by a bouquet of flowers and a bucket that appear later on, as well as the layout of the room is exactly the same. In this room there are also two calendars, both signifying that the date frozen in time is Christmas Day, the day that Petscop was given to Paul by Raina. These calendars are also representations of the years 1997 and 2000, which I ended up confirming by livening up the day of January the 1st with their corresponding weekday, as I'm going to show here. June the 5th until November the 10th on the 1997 calendar is marked as green, to which Paul recalls the story of a girl that he used to know that's apparently the exact same age as him that went missing during that time. He specifically mentions as well that he doesn't really remember that because he was a child, but he knows that he's been told the story before. Finally, Paul enters the bathroom after the door opens and a short cutscene plays before he enters, which he makes a comment on. This comment is later repeated after the demo occurs, which will be coming up in a moment and we'll be discussing that, and that's signifying that we as a viewer are seeing something that Paul did not. The demo itself shows off some new mechanics that we've not seen before, including a speak function via controller input commands that can be used for two players, one of those players being Marvin, which shows more similarities towards the avatar by being connected to Marvin in more ways than just character design. Marvin calls the player Pal for some reason. I'm guessing it's just the way to say Paul, like you would say Maul, for instance. I'm guessing that's it. And then proceeds to direct him towards the school. Once inside, the demo runs through the ground floor in what clearly looks to be unfinished, but it's still classed as being in the demo. And then they reach a padlock, which they attempt to unlock, but fail. This could be foreshadowing to something that will appear in future episodes, for instance. We then return to the bathroom and Paul notices the differences in the room, in spite of the fact he's repeating the exact same words. So it's sort of like deja vu, for instance. That appears to be what it is anyway. Once he returns to the previous room, we're greeted with the alternate Randis room that I mentioned earlier, because as you can see there's that bucket and there is the bouquet of flowers. Also, there's no Christmas tree, no people phasing in and out, and one calendar instead of two. Paul then reads a note on a notice board that says, "My husband may come here after 6 PM. Please stay overnight if you can. Thank you so much." I think that this message was intended for Care A, who resides in the room that's now accessible. Upon inspecting the calendar as well, we're greeted with an animation on June the 5th. This calendar is indeed the same one for 1997, signifying that the third day that was frozen was the day of the kidnapping. Paul then enters Care A's room, who I can now safely assume is the in-game representation of the girl that Paul is supposed to remember. Whilst trying to figure out how to solve the room's puzzle, the avatar then gets locked into a closet, and after waiting for a few minutes, Marvin enters the room through the opening he created by breaking the air conditioner and kidnaps Care A. This, however, is just merely showing events that are about to occur, as Paul follows suit and captures Care via the same means. Once captured, Paul reads Care A's description, which states, "When the emergency began, you were all looking for Care A. I told you all, we would never find Care A. When Care A goes missing, she goes missing forever. My brother didn't want us to find him because he knew we were all looking for Michael A. I'm back. This is my present for you. I started it in 1996 for Marvin. If you think they are worth the effort, see if you can save Care B or Care NLM. Care B is in the school, of course. Expletive, you all, and expletive me as well. Merry Christmas. Check your bathroom now. Raina." Now, please take note. Obviously, it doesn't say expletive. It swears, but I try my best not to swear on this channel. So, well, yeah. Simple as that. I think you can probably guess. Either way, this confirms that Rainer created Petscop. Once again, just like last time, that as I mentioned in the previous fan theories video. He's digitally signing his work and he's directing it towards Paul himself. He's basically speaking to Paul now. So, also it confirms that Rainer, Mike and Marvin were connected. And it also mentions that Mike also went missing due to Rainer's brother. Which I now believe at the moment at the very least, until I'm probably confirmed not to be the case. But I believe it's Marvin at the moment. The Avatar is also following Marvin's footsteps, as far as I can see throughout Petscop, in an attempt to uncover the whereabouts of both Mike and Care's iterations. Finding out what happened to them aside from their deaths and things like that, which has already been confirmed, by the way. Obviously, we already know that Mike's dead, and we've confirmed that Care has been found, but we don't know whether or not she's alive or dead, but my guess is that she's dead. But either way, obviously, we're trying to find out as well where those events happened, which appears to be, obviously, as we've just seen, the school. We've seen that going around there, so we're going to see that at some point. And we've also seen the kidnapping of Care. Rainer also seems to be showing guilt and anger by insulting both himself alongside everybody else connected with the events in question. So I believe that Rainer knew what had happened and created Petscop to show Paul the truth behind it all. It's also confirmed that Rainer was actually older than the others, and Paul only met him really briefly. But my guess is that Rainer felt that Paul had to be the one to play Petscop, because basically there's a link between both Care and Paul being the exact same age to the day. There's also that story in Petscop 9 about the windmill, which mentions who I now believe to be the husband and his wife, alongside the wife's sister, who disappeared and was later reborn as the husband's daughter, which I'm now presuming to be Care. And in the final part of the video, we see Marvin telling the player to play a melody. After a minute or so, the melody changes and becomes sporadic, and then we see Marvin telling us that she tripped and fell and is lost. Now, I believe that to be the aforementioned girl. Again, it's probably explaining what had occurred, or perhaps what they told other people. He then states that Tiara plays bad music too. That could once again be a Candice Newmaker reference, but it seems not to be. My guess is now that Tiara is just somebody else, and it might just be mere coincidence. Because otherwise, why would they link together? Unless they were really going to try their hardest to put a direct link between Candice Newmaker and themselves, which I doubt they would do. Obviously, Tiara must be a different person. And basically, they then tell the player to do it right next time. And the player replies with, sad. So, and then, okay, Paul, or pal, whatever it is. But yeah, we've got that as well. So that's the end of the Petscop video. Now, I must admit, this has been quite the episode for both uncovering new information and for further confirmation of everybody's role in the story. So up to now, we've confirmed that Rainer is definitely the person that created Petscop. We know that he's older. We know all of that, and we know that there's a direct connection between Care and Paul. We know there's a direct connection between the husband and the wife and everything like that, alongside Care again. We know that Mike's death did have something to do with Rainer's brother, who could not be, who knows, could be Marvin. My guess is that it is Marvin based on what we've seen. But other than that, obviously, I can't wait to see more episodes of Petscop and hopefully crack open the mystery completely. But for now, that's it for this video, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know as well. Just be nice about it, because we're all friends here. And until next time, people, keep on surviving.